This school is amazing.
It is. It really is.
And how long have you been here?
This is my second year here. Yes. I've been in education for 26 years. Being a military family, I've been around a lot. This is home for right now.
Let's go talk about how these habits make all that happen. So Wilma, your story, how have the habits helped you?
One of the things that most military spouses can relate to is that when they leave, everything breaks down. I remember when I went in labor with my youngest daughter, and I had a doctor's appointment. So I didn't know anybody around me. We had just moved into the house, went to the hospital. They told me that I was in labor. I had to call home to my son, and I said, "Can you take the phone across the street?" And I told the lady on the phone, I said, "Hey, my husband is in Mojave Viper. His command is trying to get him home. Can you watch my kids?" I ended up delivering my daughter, and my husband came home the next day. She came 2 weeks early. It was one of the most horrifying things in my life. So it wasn't fair at all, but I was the one constant in the family, and I had to do what was best for our family, and that's what I did.
In that moment.
In that moment.
So when we talk about the circle of influence and the circle of concern, you were definitely operating in your circle of influence, what you could control, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I was.
There's this quote that I was born for the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that you were born for the storm of helping children of military families realize that change is just part of life, transitions are part of life?
Absolutely. The resiliency of the change, accepting the change, expecting the change, and being able to live through it. As an educator, I make a conscious decision every day to say, this too shall pass. I know how I want it to go.
Yeah.
I know what I want the end result to be. I got to invest in what I know.
Wilma, I am so inspired by you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not supposed to be crying. I don't know why. I'm trying to pull the Barbara Walters, but it's going reverse.
Oh, look at this girl. This is awesome. This Arizona girl is ecstatic. Welcome. We've been waiting. Please, please, please come in.
Thank you.
Oh. Tell us a little bit about your journey with the 7 Habits. Where did that come into the story?
I often would find myself overwhelmed. I overcommitted to things. I did too many things. I had the never say no to anyone syndrome, and I often felt like everything around me was controlling me.
Yeah, that feeling of overwhelming, I could instantly connect it to it. It almost was a visceral feeling for me as I was hearing you say that. Give us an example of what were you overwhelmed with?
Well, I had a young family at the time, and they were a busy little young family. And then I also started a new path in my career, leaving my former post. And once again, I was saying no to no one. Everyone heard yes from me, and I was volunteering here and president of this, president of that. I feel like I want to be everyone's superhero. And at that time, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. The one day I had done my full day and got my kids where they needed to go and everything in order, and then back to the hospital I went. And I was sitting in the car and the rain started. And I was brought back to the moment of the video where Dr. Covey so eloquently talks about carrying your weather and having that moment of choice, you know, between before responding. And I just sort of had a moment, and I thought, yeah, this is where it's got to change. This is it. This is where I shift.
What strategy do you use to get you from that, oh my gosh, to I'm going to carry my own weather?
Pause and respond. That's one of the practices that it took a long time, because you want to solve everything, right? You want to be that, you want to make it better for them, you want to make it better for the other teachers, you want to make it better. And knowing that I have that moment that allows me to think, it allows clarity.
Yeah.
And that sets the tone for whatever my next step would be.
Embracing that pause lets you use other habits in between there.
Absolutely. Suddenly you're not just, I'll solve this and you get back here. No, like it's just, I just need that moment, and now I can make a really solid decision that's going to help everybody.
Yeah. Let's start out by just talking a little bit about what was life before the habits.
So before the habits, I think of that time as kind of cold cups of coffee, right? Like you get your coffee in the morning and then it's just, you meet problem after problem and you're kind of just the Energizer bunny of solving problems and helping people and fixing things and really just going until your tank is empty. And then feeling exhausted and curious, like, did all of that amount to anything? Or tomorrow, will I face another list very similar and just kind of go through the day again?
When did that awareness happen that something needed to be different?
I joked about the cold coffee, but honestly, Molly, feeling really tired.
Yeah. I think every leader can connect to that exhausted feeling.
Yeah.
How did you know that that was a sign to do something different versus it was a sign just to quit? Like, I'm just not made for this. If I'm feeling this tired, I'm not made for it.
Well, first of all, it's purpose, right? Like knowing that you're here for a reason. And we all started these jobs and these careers because we believe in the power of what education can do, right? And so part of it is that, like, go to your foundation, go back down to habit one. Everything starts with that personal responsibility. And it takes a while to be able to unpack, but when you really work down to it, it's personal choice. And so that has to start with me. That has to start with inside out. I can't blame circumstances. I can't blame very real challenges. Those things are all very true, but my responsibility and power comes from owning my reaction to those things. And as a leader, my reaction to those things impacts my colleagues and the people that I'm serving, their reaction.
Talk to us a little about, what do you do in that space? When you say, Christy, okay, I am feeling something right now.
Yeah.
I need to embrace the pause. What does that look like for you?
So when I start to feel dysregulated or feel overwhelmed or ineffective, that's another thing. When it starts to feel like, okay, something's not working, great strategies for me are just carving out some time in my calendar. I've put a standing kind of like 10-minute reflection in my calendar, and it just allows me to just stop, think, how am I doing in terms of carrying my own weather? Am I doing a good job of that? Or am I kind of letting circumstances dictate how I feel? That whole idea of, if you are solid in habit one, you're going to be much more well equipped to lead.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.